Days after the Citizenship Amendment Act finally came into implementation, India today has an exclusive conversation with senior advocate and King's Counsel in London, Mr. Harish Salve. Thank you, sir, so much for speaking to us. Your first thoughts. 4 years after it was first introduced, the CAA has finally come into effect and it's being met with a lot of opposition from activists, from opposition parties. What are your thoughts?
I've um, I've said this before and I'm saying it again. Uh, I've not understood where this opposition stems from. I saw a speech by the Home Minister. I didn't know this fact that right from the beginning, in fact, even Congress Party had said that all those refugees who have come from a neighboring country, that time there was the Bangladesh, because Pakistan, later from Afghanistan, we should house them because if Hindus, Christians, Jains, Sikhs, who were a large part of the population of Pakistan, have post its becoming a theocratic state, felt a sense of alienation. And if they want to come to India, it's logical that India gives them citizenship. And that's what we have done. So the suggestion that if you have to give citizenship to one class of oppressed people, you must extend this to the whole wide world, to me makes no sense. Ultimately, whom we want to give, these are people of Indian ethnicity. And they are being discriminated in an inter-religion context, not intra-religion. Even within every religion, we hear complaints about everybody not being treated equally, but that's a matter for that religion to have. But between religions, when there is a theocratic state, there is a qualitative difference. In a theocratic state, if you don't belong to the religion of that state, a lot of states treat you in a manner which some people consider discriminatory. And if you want to migrate, the ethnicity is India. There was no Pakistan till 1947. We are all the same stock. If you want to give them citizenship, I simply cannot fathom any
But
reason.
But the biggest criticism against the CAA is that it is violative of Article 14. And Article 14 grants every person, not just every citizen, but every person equal protection under the law. So when you
Every person
discriminate
in
on the basis,
India,
right, in India,
I have an equal right to contest for American elections. I'd love to try and fight against Trump. The American Constitution also guarantees equal protection of all, equal protection to all Americans, not necessarily American citizens, but to all Americans. Our Constitution guarantees equal protection of Indian laws to all Indians. Can an English person come and say, why are you giving visas to the French? Why not to me? How am I different? Can the Chinese today complain saying it's not fair? People from Thailand are given visas. People from other Asian countries are given visas. Why not us?
but
I don't
surely,
understand this argument.
no, but surely the answer can't be as simple as that because since the
It
time,
is as simple as that. It is quite as simple as that. You want to go and say India should, as a policy, open its doors to people who are victimized outside India. That's a policy choice.
right,
In the country in which I live now, United Kingdom, they opened their doors and now they have a problem with asylum seekers. And the immigration system is about to collapse. If it is, some people say it's already collapsed. So those are policy choices. Those are not constitutional arguments. Let's be very clear.
right. But when your country as a basic, it's part of the basic structure that the country is secular. So when in a secular country, you're discriminating against somebody solely on the basis of what religion they come from.
No, you're not. Tell me which Indian is affected by this. I'm not talking of Indian citizen. Can you say there is a discrimination against Chinese solely on basis of their ethnicity or their place? There's the equal bar. What we are talking constitutional law.
Correct. And it might not,
We are
no,
not talking policy. Yes, you want to be a liberal heart, go right ahead. If the country has the resources, get all the troubled people of the world and house them in India. We don't have enough problems of our own, right? We're a very rich country with everybody living way above the affluence line. Get everybody in. But I don't understand this constitutional argument.
No, the constitutional argument is there because essentially through the CAA you're aiming to
What is
give
the meaning of
citizens
secularism? Will you explain to me, since you people know so much constitutional law?
that every religion needs to be treated equally at par with one another and
Not
nobody should be
secularism.
discriminated.
You are mistaken about secularism.
Yeah.
Religions are treated differently. When the government suggests uniform civil code, you go up in arms and say you can't treat everybody similarly. Secularism is freedom of thought, freedom of religion, and the right to practice and profess your religion without any discrimination. Which Indian is being denied that? And I'm not saying citizen. Who living in India is being denied that?
No, but okay, for example, if there are minorities within the Muslim religion in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Afghanistan, who are being persecuted against, those minorities do not have the same options compared to a
Are we micromanaging Islam in Pakistan, or are we giving refugee status and citizenship to the non-Muslims in a Muslims declared theocratic state?
right. But
You
even if
think
we
that
talk about,
are we micromanaging how Islam is run in Pakistan?
of
Who
course
gives
not.
you the right to do so?
Hmm.
Should not the people who administer a theocratic state of Islam sort out their own problems? Or
But
are we going to be big brother and say, no, no, you know what? I don't like the way you treat one subsect of Islam. So I am going to invite them to come to India. A very strange argument.
but it's not just about Muslims either. Like we are not allowing Jews to enter India if there are any Jews that are persecuted
How
in
many
these
are there? Are there any? Are
irrespective,
there any? Constructive
irrespective,
arguments are never on theory.
even if it's a small population, what about
How
people who are
many?
what
Three,
about people who are
two
atheists?
and a half?
How many ever? Even if it's a
No,
small
no, no, no.
minority.
I'm sorry. Here again, you get your constitutional law wrong.
Hmm.
We are also not allowing Mongolians to come into India, right? From Afghanistan. How many are there? We don't know. Maybe none. And there may be a man from the moon living in this whom we don't know about. We should allow him also. How many? We don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's not how
So,
constitutional challenges are brought. You have to say here is a body of people
right.
who is similarly situated. First of all, whether it applies to allowing people in
Hmm.
or constitutional law, I don't accept. But if you say there is a body of people similarly situated, whom you are not allowing in, which body? Jews, bad example.
Okay, so even if we talk about, say, for example, the idea behind CAA is to help a humanitarian aid to
No,
persecuted
no,
minorities.
no. Again,
What
you
is
got
it?
it wrong. That's what I'm saying. Please be clear on the gap between the policy and the constitutionality. You should say India should be broad-minded. Since we are such a rich and prosperous country with no problems of our own, we should open our borders to any and everybody who's troubled in the world. That's a point of view. Some people say, no, we have enough of our own. Let's worry about our own. These are people who are of our own ethnicity. And the policy is that people of Indian, pre 47 Indian origin, who are now in two parts of what used to be India, which have now turned theocratic
Hmm.
and are therefore being subjected to inferior rights by definition, but they are not secular countries. Afghanistan is now no longer secular, Pakistan is not secular. They want to come to a secular country. The Hindus want to come back to a secular India. The Sikhs want to come back to a secular India. They are a class apart, and classification is always permitted. Should you have such a classification is a policy argument. If you do have a policy like this, is that classification valid is a constitutional argument, and I see on its face, yes, it is.
But what's the logic of including Afghanistan in this list? Because Pakistan and Bangladesh, like you said, were countries that
You know
have,
the population of in Afghanistan? There are three or four basic tribes which constitute Afghanistan, and now I speak with some authority. I'm an Afghan wife.
hmm,
It is the local, the Pashtus, the people from Pars, the Parsis. There's a sizable Zoroastrian community. community, and they have to practice their religion today in secrecy. They have almost all left. Then you have a very sizable Sikh community, and you have a sizable Buddhist community, some of the finest Buddhist art, which the Taliban has destroyed, the Gandhara art. The Buddhist libraries were amazing. So these are known, recognized communities which constituted. Afghanistan was not a country, Afghanistan was a region. And right from Balkh down to here, it was a geographical region where people lived happily. My wife is Muslim, but she says, what was she taught when she was growing up? It is first family, community, country, and then religion. Love equally. This is the order of priority. Those priorities have changed. Today you have the Taliban. She came from a country where they used to have parties, they used to have drinks, they used to wear Western clothes, and she went to a French-speaking school. Can you think of that in Afghanistan? No, you can't. So Afghanistan has changed dramatically. Now, people who were used to the Indian Sikhs, do they have a right to freely set up gurdwaras there? No, gurdwaras have been demolished. Buddhist places of worship have been demolished. So how do you compare all these? I've not heard of any synagogues being demolished in Afghanistan.
There is also an argument about an arbitrary cutoff date of 31st December 2014. Why has that been set as the cutoff date? Question number one. And does that
You
not?
have to have some cutoff date, right?
But what is the reason? If the idea is to
Who
help,
is affected by that? Suppose you made it 2013, would it help?
no, if the idea is to help minorities from other countries come and seek refuge in India, then why have a cutoff date at all?
Why not? The law was brought on 31st December 2014. You say a large number of these people are already in India. They're living here. This is not to open the doors for endless. Again, it's a policy choice. It's a policy choice. What the government is saying is a very large, we are not inviting migration. These are people who have migrated and are not getting the benefit of Indian citizenship.
But the second part of my question then is that isn't that then contradictory with what Section 6A of the Citizenship Act, which is also under challenge before the Supreme Court says? Because there's a specific timeline under 6A, which is from I think 1969 to 71. And then you have a timeline under the CAA, which is still 2014. So essentially, a Muslim,
Both are parliamentary legislations, right?
correct, but a Muslim
How does it become unconstitutional? The later law will prevail.
No, isn't it contradictory? Because a Muslim who's entered India, say in 1971, can enter Assam, but at the same time he cannot
You know,
enter
the
West
Assam
Bengal.
law has been struck down.
Hmm.
The Assam law was the most ridiculous law. I know because when I was Solicitor General, I supported the challenge to that law, and finally a judgment was given by Supreme Court. It was absurd. If you entered the Bangladesh border, you talk of discrimination. Let me tell you what discrimination was. If you were a Muslim who crossed Assam, you were not to be removed. If you crossed 2 kilometers below that into Bengal, you were to be removed. That made sense because it was by a secular government, right? Come on.
Just one last question before I let you go. You, I think, spend more time in London than you do in India. You travel the world. What does a law like this do for India's global image, which is increasingly, at least in the global media,
Believe me,
becoming?
nobody cares here. Nobody cares here. People see it as okay. India is recognizing de jure what is a de facto. I mean, a lot of these people have already come into India. It's recognizing. It's maybe some leading newspaper who finds everything wrong about India. And believe me, there is a lot of jealousy about India today in this part of the world. They are losing their status. I live in London. I love this city. Make no mistake. But it is in shambles. The infrastructure is in shambles. When I land at Delhi airport, I feel today I've come from a developing country into a developed country. That's the difference.
That's a big thing to say.
I'm telling you, that's the difference. Delhi airport, you have 14 people who are doing your immigration. In London, you can land in Heathrow with 200 passengers and 2 agents because they don't have money for others. It is the only airport in the world which, for first class and club class passengers, they cannot even afford fast track. This is where you are. The train service on which this whole country depends has become so dodgy, so dodgy. Half the time your trains are running late. The traffic, one day I come from home to work. If I drive by car, it takes 18 minutes. Next day can take 50 minutes because two roads are closed. Because something has been dug up because some water pipe has burst or gas pipe has burst. You want to see the NHS, the health service. We complain about Indian health service. You have to see what the health service here is doing. Non-essential operation. That means if you have a heart problem, you become not urgent. You could get a date 9 months from now,
Oh.
6 months from now. So, it's and doctors going on strike, nurses going on strike. You must be reading about this. Train drivers going on strike. And it's spread all over the world. Lufthansa, Germany, Lufthansa was on strike. So there is a lot of jealousy about the changing global power play. People realize today India has become the fifth largest economy, bigger than UK, bigger than that. It will become the third largest economy in another 4 or 5 years if we continue at our rate of growth. So there is a lot of jealousy. People write all kinds of things as though they are the earth-shaking things which are going on in India. Nobody writes about what Indian roads have become. I am telling you, I was taken by surprise when somebody said Delhi to Dehradun is a 4.5 hour drive. I said, you must be joking, it's 9 hours. They said, no, have you seen the new motorways? Come to the English motorways, I'll tell you what state of disrepair they are. So, please, India is seen with great respect by people who do not have any slants. And for people who have slants, we don't care.
This matter has been pending in the Supreme Court for a really long time now, ever since it came into being. And just days, hours barely after the rules were enforced by the government, urgent applications have been filed again before the Supreme Court for a hearing.
Which I don't understand. Now, hold on. By getting a stay, what are you going to get? Is the Supreme Court going to say extend it to everybody? No. At least a handful of people who are getting it. Is there a quota? There is no quota. Those who are getting it, let them get it. You are saying more people should be given, right? You're not saying nobody should be given. So why do you want to stay?
Right. So how do you see this proceeding in the Supreme Court now? Do you think it's going to be taken up urgently? Because I think the
What is
last
the
election,
urgency about? That's what I'm saying. What is the urgency about this? Is there a queue at our borders that people are dying on the border to come in and the borders will have to be opened? There's a cutoff date of 2014, for God's sake. So people who have already come in have come in. Is anybody being evicted? Is anybody being thrown out? You can come and say, okay, don't evict so and so. But you can't to say stay this means those who are going to get citizenship don't get it. If that's what they want to achieve, good.
well, Harish Salve there, proving again why he's one of India's top lawyers, defending CAA as strongly as possible. Thank you so much.
You don't need a top lawyer.
Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to India Today. Take care.